Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're tackling something that literally makes or breaks the machine learning models running our world: hyperparameter tuning. I mean, we trust these algorithms with everything from medical diagnoses to financial markets, right? But how do we actually ensure they're learning rather than just memorizing data? Okay, let's dive into this and start with a trap that even seasoned data scientists have to actively fight against. Is an accurate model always a good model? It's super tempting to see a 99% accuracy score and think, boom, this model is ready for the real world. But as you'll see, that single number can be a complete illusion. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. Understanding hyperparameters. 2. The illusion of accuracy. 3. Metrics for the real world. 4. Overfitting and underfitting. And finally, 5. Putting it into practice. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Understanding Hyperparameters. Basically, hyperparameters are the settings chosen before or during training that control exactly how our learning algorithm behaves. Think of them like the master control dials on a really complex machine. Some common examples include setting the number of neighbors in a KNN algorithm or deciding the maximum depth of a decision tree. And here's the thing. If you make poor choices here, it honestly doesn't matter how incredibly clean or vast your data is. A fundamentally brilliant algorithm can perform terribly if its hyperparameters are set poorly. And this brilliantly illustrates the vital distinction we need to make. Hyperparameters are the rules we humans choose before training to shape behavior. Parameters, on the other hand, are the internal rules the model learns directly from the data itself. Essentially, we tune the former so the machine can effectively learn the latter. Moving right along to Section 2, the illusion of accuracy. Let's imagine a critical medical screening scenario with a severe class imbalance. Say 99% of tested patients are healthy and only 1% are sick. If I build a totally broken model that simply hard-codes the answer healthy for every single person, well, it's technically correct 99 times out of 100. That literally gives it a 99% overall accuracy rate. But obviously, it has completely and utterly failed its actual, real-world purpose of finding those sick patients. Which brings us to this absolutely crucial takeaway from the research. Accuracy alone can be misleading when classes are imbalanced. When you're evaluating supervised learning algorithms, judging a model's quality by just this one basic score is a recipe for disaster. It can hide massive systemic failures, especially when the specific events you're trying to predict are rare. That leads us into Section 3, Metrics for the Real World. This is exactly where we need specialized evaluation metrics. Now, accuracy is just the overall proportion of correct predictions, which is fine if your classes are balanced. But precision? That measures how many of the predicted positives are actually correct. Recall measures how many of the real positives in the dataset are successfully found. And the F1 score provides a really neat mathematical balance between the two. As you can see, different metrics highlight entirely different strengths and weaknesses in your algorithm. Let's make this concrete. Imagine a spam filter for your inbox. This is a classic precision priority scenario. Precision is vital when false positives are highly annoying or costly. Just imagine missing out on a massive job offer or a super time-sensitive text just because your overly aggressive algorithm flagged it as a scam for cheap watches. No way. You'd absolutely want to tune for precision here to avoid that exact frustration. But let's shift the tone for a second to a scenario with severe human consequences. This is a recall priority. Think back to our medical screening example. If a model fails to detect a dangerous disease, a false negative, the patient goes untreated, which could literally be fatal. Because missing a real positive case is incredibly dangerous, a medical model must be tuned to prioritize recall above all else. In this context, we gladly accept a few false alarms if it guarantees we don't miss anyone who is actually sick. All right, Section 4. Overfitting and underfitting. So the crucial point is balancing these two extremes. On one side, we have overfitting. This happens when the model learns the training data too closely, effectively memorizing the random noise and tiny fluctuations rather than the broader trends. It's kind of like a student who memorizes an exam's exact answer key without learning the underlying concepts. When handed a slightly different test, they completely fail. On the flip side is underfitting. Here, the model is simply too basic to capture the real pattern at all, and it performs terribly even on the data it trained on. This is like the student who just didn't study at all. And here is exactly how our earlier hyperparameter choices dictate this delicate balance. If you configure a decision tree to be too deep, it almost certainly overfits. Too shallow, it underfits. In a k-nearest neighbors algorithm, setting the k-value too small makes it hypersensitive to outliers and very likely to overfit. Conversely, a k-value that is way too large blurs all those nuances together, causing it to underfit. Your hyperparameter settings are literally the steering wheel that navigates you between these two cliffs.
Let's wrap this up with Section 5, putting it into practice.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a deliberate, repeatable workflow. Step 1, we systematically adjust the hyperparameter settings. Step 2, we evaluate the model using our chosen metrics on unseen validation data. And Step 3, we analyze those scores to find the optimal middle ground. It's an intentional process aimed at strong, generalized predictive performance, not just getting high training scores.
To really lock this in, let's look at an exam-style real-world scenario from our source material. Imagine a school is testing a supervised learning model that aims to predict whether current students are at risk of failing. Think about everything we've covered today for a second. Why wouldn't a simple accuracy score be enough to evaluate this model?
Well, here is the exact breakdown. First, missing a student who is actually at risk of failing is incredibly costly to that student's future. That means recall matters deeply. However, falsely flagging students who are perfectly fine wastes very limited counseling and tutoring resources, meaning precision also strongly matters. Because both types of errors have very real consequences, evaluating this model using the F1 score provides the necessary balance. By intelligently tuning the hyperparameters while watching that F1 score, the school prevents the model from underfitting and missing the subtle signs of a struggling student, while also preventing it from overfitting and just memorizing the random quirks of past student data. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the ultimate question. What does good performance actually mean for your real-world application? A well-tuned algorithm isn't just a fun exercise in math. It is entirely dependent on the specific human problem you are trying to solve. So, the next time you see a headline boasting a 99% accuracy rate, ask yourself, what is it missing? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep asking the right questions.